And Adam, welcome to second episode of 2020, the one where we actually are going live on Facebook, as well as going to be posting this as we normally do on the Podbean, iTunes, all that stuff. Obviously not visual there. So welcome to Facebook, my man.
Welcome to Facebook Live. We're making steps in 2020. Going live now, and
trying to scare some kids.
Yeah, definitely scaring all the kids for sure.
Like, what in the world is going on? So one big new alert, I guess. Hello to everybody, if anybody's watching. But more importantly, we want to announce that the main event is now going to be starting to be broadcast every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Arizona time. Is when we are going to actually be broadcasting now, recording the podcast. Obviously, going Facebook Live. We'll be adding some other elements as we go along. Just starting with Facebook first. So 6 p.m. Wednesday nights. Mark your calendars. And then obviously, we'll have the podcast out in its normal form shortly after that. As we go forward, we are still testing a lot of things. We are still working on a lot of things. We tried to do too much at the beginning. We needed to scale it back a little bit. So we'll be adding stuff, and anything you see, definitely let us know. So hello, everybody.
Hello, Facebook.
So, Adam.
We can try and monitor a little bit of Facebook if anyone's watching live, and we'll see if we get any comments or anything too.
That stuff we'll be paying attention, of course. So definitely throw us your feedback on there. As you're going, I know we're doing this on a Friday morning because we're at the live testing and everything, but 10:40 Arizona time. But like I said, we're going to be going Wednesday, 6 p.m., so everybody can tune in to help us out with the show. So, Adam, a lot has happened this week. Let's get going because there's a lot to talk about. A lot of news went down this week. No doubt about it.
Yeah, such a busy sports week. It's been crazy.
Nauseating.
Like you would think it's been like the third week in January that it'd be slower.
Right.
You'd just be concentrating on the NFL and the NFL and college football championship. But man, MLB's decided to stick its nose in it. Yeah. We got UFC. We got basketball news. We got baseball. Man, it's just been crazy. It's hard to catch up.
Yeah, so let's start with that college football championship game. Of course, last Monday night, we had LSU and Clemson face off. You had LSU. I picked Clemson. Thought their expertise would come through for me, and I was wrong.
Nope, you were wrong. I was right. My college football streak continues, except for the miserable bowl games that I decided to tank on. But, man, Joe Burrow shows why he's going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft, right?
Exactly right. Well, we get into his stats there, but mainly LSU dominated the game, I thought, which they dominated all season, so it shouldn't be a shocker. But they definitely impressed me on that because this was a great team they went against. But some quick LSU season stats, Adam. They were the first SEC team to finish 15-0 because usually they get knocked off at some point by one of their people, right? And then also, they beat 7 AP top 10 teams, which is the most of all time. And they scored 726 points, so they're the most in AP poll era history. So they were the first to beat the 4 teams that were in the top 4 to begin the season. They beat all of them. And they didn't just beat them. They beat them by the average margin of like 19 and something points. So it wasn't like they were just barely beating teams. They were beating teams. So I know you watched a little bit of this game or a lot of it. And, my takeaway real quick before we get to yours is, man, LSU's defense made Trevor Lawrence just look mortal. Or Trevor Lawrence out there look mortal. It was the first time that Trevor Lawrence had completed less than 50% of his passes in a single game. Yeah, at Clemson, of course. And just the second time he hasn't finished the game with a passing touchdown, Adam. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I think that what you're going to see is what we saw is like the difference in – because Burrows and Lawrence, they're kind of like 1 and 2. And I think there's such a big difference. But what we're going to see from Lawrence going into next year when he comes back is really, I think you'll see that big growth that we saw with Burrows this year. It was the first time that Clemson was even trailing in 78 days. Like he wasn't used to that. And I mean, when they came out and the first 3 possessions, they were in the red zone and you only come up with 1 touchdown.
Yep.
I really didn't understand the whole not going for the field goal at the time. I thought maybe it was just to put the hammer down on LSU, but I just think that you're going to see. I'm still a fan of Lawrence. I think you're going to see tremendous growth in him in the next year.
I mean, he handled the loss really well for a guy that hasn't lost at Clemson in 2 years, in his 2 years there. He handled the loss well. He just had a rough game, and quite frankly, everybody has rough games against LSU. So I don't think it's anything to knock him at all. But here's the thing, right? Is Joe Burrow 14 carries, 58 rushing yards. That's just his rushing right there. But then 31 of 49, 463 yards, 5 touchdowns. And that offense was set up. And to show, here's the interesting thing, right? Is so LSU signs a new offensive coordinator, changed their whole offensive system. Joe Burrow shines all year. And they win the national championship in dominating fashion. And then the OC gets hired by the Carolina Panthers right after the game.
Yeah, no, and the OC moves on, and we see that a lot with these national championship teams and the good teams. But I really think that LSU, I think that they were going to be all right because I like the system that they put into place, and I don't think you're going to see a dramatic change in it. Do you?
Yeah, no. Whoever they get as a new offensive coordinator, I'm assuming it's going to be a similar style. But I mean, when Jamar Chase, 9 carries for 221 yards receiving for LSU, 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns.
I mean, he was dominating. He, of course, was and then you had Justin Jefferson out there for 9 receptions for 106 yards. They just ran all over the place. But that's the thing. It's a magical season, right? And all the talk afterwards was how great LSU was and how are they considered one of the dominant college football teams of all time. I hate that because you're going across.
Yeah, you're going all the different eras and different. Yeah, I don't really know if I like that comparison because it's so hard. It's like NBA comparison, Jordan and LeBron. You just get to this point where you're just like, man, I don't. But I think they were definitely dominant for this year. I mean, the best. Oh, yeah. I mean, no doubt about it.
They proved this year they were the best team. But I mean, you go back in that early 2000s Miami team that dominated everybody, but you can even go back to the 80s. Those Miami teams dominated in the 80s. Yeah, so I don't like that either. But there was talk of that. LSU was kind of talking about that a little bit. But how awesome! Like, forget about the game, right? Dabo Swinney, impressed me because he was just kind of like, hey, they won the game. They beat us today. We need to come back. Clemson has continued to impress me with their, and maybe they need to show a little bit more enthusiasm and some worry a little bit, but they're just even keel. There's nothing that panics them. After the game, they just tipped their hats to LSU and said, hey, they're a team that beat us today. Nothing we can do about it. We're going to come back next year, and see what we can do and go from there. But how awesome was Joe Burrow and the players with those cigar graphics? And, I'm not into smoking or any of that stuff.
It's not smoking. It's cigars. It's congratulations, right?
He just looks so cool.
Just sitting there puffing away.
Right? It's like, you are so cool. I don't even know where to go with this, but you are so freaking cool right now on there. Well, LSU dominated the season. I just thought Clemson game might be too big for him because that was a game like that. I was completely wrong. But obviously LSU did that. LSU's losing a lot of talent, namely their quarterback this year. Don't know who the backup is. But right after the game, of course, you get the not too early, whatever you call it, early preseason.
It's never too early to 25. Have the odds out, right?
No shock here that Clemson's number 1, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be number 1. You have so much talent coming back. I mean, Clemson's a young team, and you got a lot of talent coming back. So I don't think that there's a chance that they're not ranked number
They're
one.
losing their 2 starting guards, the center, but they have guys behind their plate because of injury. Their huge offensive thing is T. Higgins is going, which he was their stud receiver, no doubt about it, on there. But Ohio State's too. That doesn't surprise anybody, right? They're losing Chase Young, of course. They lost their running back, what was his name? Dobbins, J.K. Dobbins. They're a young team as well coming back, so it'll be interesting to see where they are and if they can handle it. Alabama's number 3. You surprised by that?
No, I'm not surprised by that at all.
They just reload, right?
Yeah, I mean they're plug and play, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. And then LSU's 4, which I found interesting because they're losing their quarterback. Figure you would kind of not take that. You would take a little bit bigger of a hit losing your quarterback in that, especially in that system. Apparently not. Oregon's 5. Doesn't surprise me. Oregon's always up there, but they're losing their quarterback also, so you never know. Georgia's number 6. They're losing their quarterback. Are you guys noticing a trend here? We don't know what they have because these guys have been starters for so long for these teams on there. Like Oklahoma's 8. Who's their quarterback going to be? Who's transferring to Oklahoma this year to win the Heisman and get them to the playoff, right?
No, it's so early for this, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, come on, people.
It just cracks me up. But there's no shock. Clemson, of course, is 1. I don't think anybody's surprised by that at all. So we wrapped up the college football season finally, which felt like the last month felt like 7 hours, right? Or 7 years.
Yeah, we got to thank the all the bowl games for dragging this on and on and on.
And the 14-week stretch there between the 14-day between the game, playoffs and that. So it's like whatever.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
So Adam, let's do some exciting things here, and let's get into some XFL football coming up.
XFL.
We are less than a month away on kickoff. What do you think we're dealing with here? Last year we talked about the rules. We are going to do our team draft here in a few minutes, but I know you had some big news on a former NFL player.
Yeah, and it's one of these things where Vince McMahon and Oliver and everyone has been so like, it's not going to be gimmicky. This is not WWE, and we are real football. And they wanted to stay away from a bunch of the gimmicks that they had, with the first incarnation of the XFL. And news broke on Monday that former NFL receiver Chad Johnson, OchoCinco, is trying out for the XFL, not as a wide receiver, as a kicker. And it's not that, it's one of these things where, he was on his Instagram. He posted him kicking a 60-yard field goal. He tweeted that he hopes it could lead to a chance to compete for a spot in the NFL roster. So he's using this as a stepping stone to get back in the NFL as a kicker. Kind of interesting.
Well, he's been, in fairness, I know too much about Chad Johnson because his kid is going to Arizona State this year as a receiver. So I see a lot of retweets and stuff from him. But, hey, there was Tom Tupo was a quarterback in the NFL, right? And then he became a punter for 100 years to stay in the league. So, but yeah, like you tried, I know that tryout was what, yesterday?
Yeah, it was, yesterday in Houston.
So, yeah, will he make it? We haven't seen anything yet. But what do they need kickoffs, right? So
yeah, you need a kickoff for? Right. They're just basically for kickoffs because there's no extra point kicks and kickoffs are either spotted.
Yeah, we covered that last
week. We covered that with the rules. Players from all 8 teams have been in training camp around Houston since January 4th. Season kicks off on February 8th. We'll see if Chad OchoCinco is on a roster.
Maybe, Adam, as we go, because last week we said we are following the XFL this year. Adam's excited about it. I'm interested in seeing what actually happens, but because there is no team here in Phoenix, Adam, or in Chicago, we decided we are going to do a team draft and basically adopt a team, be the team that is our team in the XFL we're going to root for. I'm going to make you buy some gear.
Oh, I'm all in on the game.
So, Adam, let's get serious here. The team that you think is going all the way and you are becoming a fan of is...
the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Look at this. Chicago native rooting for a St. Louis team, first of all.
Geographically, closest to Chicago.
Is that the what you went with there?
Yeah, I went with that. No, and then the uniforms, the logo. Yes. I can't really go on the players at this point.
If you're on Facebook Live right now, I found their logo is what it is, but then somebody put it with a smoky background on the back, and it is really cool. I like
every time I make the drive from Chicago to here, I pass right by the Dome.
You do?
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it'll become a time where I pass by the Dome and they're playing and I got to make that right turn off the highway.
Go over there?
Yes.
How long does the season go? Doesn't it go through May?
Yeah.
February through May, maybe?
Yeah, February through May.
I think there's 8 teams? So
yeah.
We got to play each other twice, 3 times?
Yeah,
9 times?
We'll have to get the official XFL schedule out there in the next week or two and start breaking down the games.
So, and then I didn't go geographic at all. For mine, Adam, I went with the DC Defenders. I do have a history with DC, been there numerous times. Used to have family in the area. I still actually do have family in the area. I didn't go West Coast. I didn't like any of the logos or anything. So I'm purely basing this off of logo at this point. I have been. This is how sad I was, Adam. I was going through the Twitter because they're showing, training camp stuff and things like I was breaking down rosters trying to figure out what team to go in.
You put way more effort into it than I did.
I do not want to pick the team that goes over or wins one game this year for the XFL or anything like that. So we've adopted our teams. We'll obviously be following these teams as well as the league here as they kick off. Are we expecting any other big news coming out in the next, 2-3 weeks before the Super Bowl? They got to announce something the week of the Pro Bowl, right?
Well, you think they got you got to think the rosters kind of sync up at that point. I mean, the big names are the quarterbacks, right? I mean, that's where you go off of, right?
How interesting is that? Their season hasn't even begun, and teams are making trades. They're trading receivers back and forth. It's just, what the heck is going on in the XFL?
Hey, they're trying to stay relevant, man, and you gotta like that. Every week, there's something to talk about in the XFL.
Hey, Amanda on Facebook Live are the St. Louis, I always call them the Blackhawks, whatever they are.
The Battlehawks. The Battlehawks.
Old Ram Stadium?
Yep, they're in the Dome.
Is that still Edward Jones?
No, it's just called the Dome at this point, I think. There's a sponsor, I think, or something like that. I got to look it back up, but for some reason, every article I read calls it the Dome.
The Dome.
I guess
that's the only place they can play unless they play at a college place.
Yeah, right? I went to that Dome. It was pretty cool. I sat right on the 50-yard line, watched the Bears play the Rams in their last season there. It was pretty good.
Hammers.
Yep, it was it was a good seats. Pretty cheap too.
There was nothing wrong with that stadium. It's just Kroenke got greedy.
He had it in his lease. He's got to be in the top whatever it was league. He wanted to get out of there anyway.
I know he's greedy. So
he wanted to go back, and they just keep moving it back.
We're only 3 games left in the NFL season, and people haven't realized that yet. But, it's funny as the season goes down, people oh my God, there's only 2 games on Sunday, and then there's only 1 game left. But now you got the XFL to look forward to.
Yes,
right after
you do.
That. And we're prepping for it. We are ready to go. But, Adam, one thing that's exciting that we are working on is we are also doing a Wrestling Fanatics is what we're calling it, a wrestling podcast as well coming up. I've already started working on it. And some big news, because I am not an AEW fan. However,
no, you are not.
You are.
They are going to be... Steve, you're wrong. You are wrong. They are not going anywhere.
I figured they'd be shut down by now.
No, Turner is very happy with them. I'm not sure what we're calling them, but Turner Media Group, I guess we'll go with.
Yeah, Turner Broadcasting, whatever.
Yes, they own TNT, TBS, True TV, a couple other ones that nobody really watches except for during tournament time.
Right.
Has announced that AEW will be live for 3 more years. Contract going through 2023. which is good for them. They're picking up another hour of TV, which we'll get into in some of the Wrestling Fanatics, but I really didn't need to go to 10 hours of must-watch wrestling a week. 9 was a little bit more than I'm willing to invest.
And that's without all the online.
That's without,
all the online stuff you can watch if you want to.
Right, and that's without getting into like TNA, all these other independent ones that are still struggling along. So thank you, AEW, for another hour of TV that I must watch. I appreciate that.
So AEW, for those that don't know, really quick, they're the new league. They started up again when in August?
It was October. They launched in October live on TNT on Wednesday night, 7 p.m.
To directly compete with the WWE.
Well, WWE kind of forced that. They weren't really. WWE went to compete with them. Is basically what happened after it was announced. They brought the NXT down to USA Network off their own network, and now they are in competition. So they call it the Wednesday Night Wars.
Yeah. So like you said, good for them. I'm happy they got the extension. The dollar amount is what it is.
$145 million, and TNT covers production costs. Not a bad way to start. Not a bad deal for AEW, though.
That covering production costs is huge because...
Man, maybe they can fix the audio because, man, AEW's audio is so bad.
Well, I would argue the wrestling and the storylines are bad.
Hey, we'll get into all that when we debut the Wrestling Fanatics podcast. There'll be a lot of fighting going on about that one.
Wrestling Fanatics, we've got a few in the bag. We've been testing that out, but that is coming that way here in the next couple weeks, as we do have the Royal Rumble coming up in a week on that. So it'll be good for Adam to get his wrestling verbiage out for everybody. But one other thing, Adam, that is interesting this week, just in sports news, UFC fight this weekend. I hear there's a UFC fight this weekend.
Well, no, and there's a UFC fight. We got Conor McGregor coming back into the ring. The Octagon. The Octagon. I corrected myself. Coming back in the Octagon. First fight in... Ooh, it's been a while, right?
Well, he hasn't fought since he fought Mayweather in that boxing match.
Yeah, they're not counting. They're not counting that. But it's the first time you get McGregor back in the Octagon. He's fighting up at 175. Now, I do not claim to be the UFC master or... I'll be honest, the only time I'm really interested in UFC was when Ronda Rousey was fighting in UFC. I was interested. When Conor McGregor and when CM Punk decided to tip his hat into the Octagon.
That did not go well, right?
No, did not go well at all. That was kind of what I'm interested in. I could not see myself paying, what are they, $89, $79? It's outrageous what they do, but I think that...
Oh my God, I was thinking 50.
Yeah, you know what? I really don't know. I have a little around the whole having to pay for the. We'll keep that down on the DL. But with Conor McGregor, does he make you consider either going somewhere to watch the fight, or is it something that you would actually pay to watch?
I also do not follow UFC. I follow it enough I know who's fighting. I know who's favored. I know their fighting styles. Because I follow enough stuff like that, but I don't delve into it. I don't. And the second the fight's over, I instantly forget everything. And I love Conor McGregor. He is just a stud. He's just an old style where he doesn't care. He'll fight you at your weight. He'll fight you at his weight. He'll fight you in the streets. He'll fight you wherever you want to fight. He just wants to fight.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming up from 145 to 175 to take on the Cowboy.
And it's just awesome to watch. He's got a punch. He just doesn't care about anything, and I just love everything about him. Now,
his last UFC fight, October of 18.
Yeah, because then in 19, did he fight?
That was his last UFC. He fought McGregor last year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's been a while. But McGregor, he's 5 years younger than the Cowboy Donald, and a huge Vegas favorite is McGregor in this one.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at I saw the records, man. Not even close. Cowboys lost, what, like 7, 8, 9 times or something ridiculous like that. So it's a good comeback fight for McGregor. It's definitely going to get the viewings. And no, I mean, absolutely. I've been places when McGregor's been fighting, and I'm totally a male, right? Where like you get me around other dudes, and then like for UFC fights, and everybody gets all hyped up or whatever. I'm just not an outgoing. I just don't like the machismo that comes around when you're in a bar and the fights are coming on. Like all of a sudden, everybody thinks they're a UFC fighter in there, and I don't like that at all. It's like everybody sit down. You're in a bar drinking. You are not Conor McGregor, guy. You are not.
After you watch Rocky, don't you feel like that you should be able to go out and do something?
Oh my God, it drives me.
Why are you looking at me, man? I just watched Rocky.
It's just like people are like, oh yeah, what are you looking at? And it's just like, oh my God, settle the hell down.
Settle
dude.
down.
So no, I will not watch it in public unless I just happen to be caught out and it's on. No, I'll enjoy it from the couch and watch it. And McGregor's pretty much the only UFC star that I would even think about paying to watch at this point. Ronda Rousey was the other one, by the way. I would have done whatever to watch her fight. So
yeah, no, and I think that Dana White knows that. I mean, that is his biggest draw is Conor McGregor, right?
Still,
I mean, I honestly don't really know too many. I don't follow it enough to know like, who's. But the name Conor McGregor makes me say, "Oh, I gotta get home to watch that."
Forgive him for busting in that bus and being a total jerk to everybody was because he needs Conor McGregor just as much as Conor McGregor needs UFC at this point. So, but that's Saturday night. I'm kind of excited for it. I mean, I think it's going to be I don't know anything. I don't know anything special. And just the things I've been reading, I didn't know McGregor was such a huge deal. But I just think if McGregor comes out and fights the way he's fought in the past, it's going to be a quick fight. But man, money changes people, man. Money takes away that hunger. And I was reading somewhere that he made $80 million in that last UFC fight. He made $100 million when he fought Floyd Mayweather in the boxing ring. And he's scheduled to make something like $90 million after everything. This is after everything for this fight. Money changes people. Like money changed Mike Tyson, Like you all of a sudden you lose that fight. You lose that instinct that you had. As you get more money as you grow up. That's why, you don't see a lot of older boxers that dominate is because they get used to that lifestyle, that money, things like that. So if that McGregor shows up, it might be an interesting fight.
Yeah, you know what? I don't fall into the whole thing with McGregor falling down that road. He's just so determined. And I think that he's coming off a loss too. So I think he's got something to prove.
Absolutely. And he needs this win, from what I understand. He needs this win in order to fight the rematch that he wants. He's not going to get it unless he wins this fight. So he's got added incentive in there, absolutely. But enough about a subject that we don't really follow. We'll touch on it next week on the fight because, like I said, planning on watching it. Check it out, give thoughts and whatnot. But Adam, less than 30 days for pitchers and catchers to report, which we all should be discussing.
No, we can't discuss that.
All hell is broken loose in Major League Baseball.
And they say that there's no such thing as bad publicity. I want to say that the MLB has to argue with that at this point, don't you? Because I don't think that they don't want to be dealing with this at all, do they?
No, I have a different perspective on these things with baseball. I have a unique perspective on it compared to a lot of people. But yeah, so last week, if you've been living under a rock, the Astros have been being investigated for using electronic surveillance to tip pitches and do all that stuff. And their punishment came out. So it was $5 million fine for the Astros. The manager and the general manager were both suspended for 1 full year. No players were punished. And subsequently, almost immediately, 2 hours later, the owner fired the GM and the owner, and they were gone. Then you read the report, and they say Alex Cora, who is now the manager of the Red Sox,
was the manager
of the Red Sox, he's pointed out in that he gets fired from the Red Sox, or they mutually decide to move on with their lives. Then Carlos Beltran, who's the only player who was a player at the Astros at the time, is the only player mentioned in the report. He's the manager of the Mets, just got hired 2 months ago. He has now moved on from the Mets. How do you feel about this?
Well, you know what? The Mets situation caught me by surprise at the first. Like, I was kind of on the whole, he wasn't a manager at the time, he was a player. He could have been coming down, it's coming down from the manager. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. And then
the report made it clear.
Yeah, and then stuff just like I just didn't know, like, he wasn't a manager at the time. He was a player, no players were, but now he's paying the fine. So that tells you, any player that was on Houston can't be a manager, or you know what I mean? Like, has to move forward at that point. But
from my perspective and my thinking on this is, they gave the players immunity so they would speak, right? Which, fine, you have to do that. But the players are the ones actually cheating. So the Black Sox are banned for life for what? Cheating.
Yep.
None of those players were given immunity. None of those players have ever been, quote unquote, ignored by cheating. And now Major League Baseball is saying, hey, Astros, you cheated badly. You got caught. But we're gonna overlook it, and we're just gonna punish management. I don't know. That's horrible. That's a horrible aspect in my eye. The players are the ones that should be punished for cheating and going along with it. And when the report blames Carlos Beltran as the main player starting it and everything, you name one player, you call out one player who just happens to be the manager of the Mets in your report, they're targeting these guys because they can't get to the players, so they're going after the retired guys and the managers.
So the Houston, how the sign stealing has evolved in Houston. In 2016, MLB investigated, did not really find anything. Early 2017, the center field feed was used to decode signs when the Astros had a runner on second base. Once decoded, it would be relayed into the dugout. Runner at second would go ahead and send the signs to the hitter. We've seen versions of that throughout baseball, right? Yeah. You're on second. Your job is to try and figure out the signs.
Years in baseball.
So no big deal, right? Yeah. 2 months into the 2017, the garbage can method was implemented.
And the players admitted to that.
Yeah. The scheme was called a player-driven, with Carlos Beltran mentioned by name. Both systems were used. They pumped a live feed into a new monitor in the tunnel. 2017 in the postseason, Manfred report says the club continued using the system to steal signs during the postseason, even though all 30 clubs were warned in September not to use electronic to steal signs. Prior to 2018 season, with MLB approval, the Astros relocated their video room closer to the dugout. So why would MLB approve it when they've already had like some sort of reputation at this point, right?
Yep.
So they do that. In the 2018, the Astros continue to use the video room to decode signs, relay them to the dugout, because the players they stopped using it because players believed it wasn't effective. So the players decided this isn't working for us. So MLB investigated in 2018 postseason, discovered no evidence the Astros use electronic devices. In the 2019 season, revealed no evidence. So, like, long story short, the investigator revealed the Astros illegally used electronic stealing signs throughout the 2017 and postseason and early 2018. But then we get the buzzer after this, right?
But
after
there's
all
no
this broke
proof on the buzzer. The buzzer's like a Twitter phenomenon, right? So this buzzer thing where they have wires on them that buzz in the shoulders, that's a Twitter phenomenon. Major League Baseball came out this morning and said there's no evidence they did that. Every player they interviewed were asked.
So wasn't there
was a buzzer, and every player said no.
There's video and audio though. Don't rip my jersey. What?
Yeah, but
is that just don't rip my jersey?
Yeah, don't rip my. And then after the game, he came out and he was like, "My wife doesn't want my jersey ripped off on the field," and stuff like that. So you can't trust the Astros players, right? So every player was asked under immunity if there was electronic deal, and they said no. And Major League Baseball came out today and said there was no evidence of it. But Twitter's finding all this circumstantial evidence where they're literally, I saw today where guys were going, and like if there was like an indentation in the jersey in the right corner, you know, they were saying that was a wire. And there's no proof on this buzzer deal. But here's the thing, right? If there is a buzzer issue, and Major League Baseball has now come out and said there isn't, how huge is this? How big is this cover-up? Because my perspective on this, Adam, is there's a cover-up going on. Major League Baseball kept it between the Astros and the Red Sox, right? They're the only two teams. Bull crap.
Well, every team does it, right? Every team is
doing
doing it or was doing it.
Major League Baseball put a moratorium on every team not to talk about the cheating. Why would you do that? Because they don't want teams going out there and talking about it, and then people find evidence that they're doing the same thing or something similar to it, and whatnot. And my other side of this is Major League Baseball's. It drives me nuts. It's like the steroids era where everybody's like, "Oh, they're cheating." You allow greenies in baseball, right? Where that have been taken in baseball for hundreds of years in order to get out there, and greenies affect you. They make you feel better. They take pain away, right? And you go out there and play, but then you can't do steroids because that's cheating, even though everybody was doing it.
Dumb.
I hate baseball for that.
So the Josh Reddick thing, though, isn't that pitcher more concerning to you?
Well,
the pitcher, you know what I mean? Like Josh Reddick was interviewed during the post game and appeared to have something taped to his chest that had a wire in plain view. Now, he was holding the microphone, though.
Appeared to have. So this is my point, though. So you have Twitter found this picture, right, out there. You don't think Major League Baseball's looked into this, too? So are they covering it up, or is it nothing? That's what we need to get to the bottom of, right?
Yeah, the one person very upset by the buzzing thing is the garbage can because he feels that he's been cheated on. He's been replaced. 30 years I've been in the dugout. 30 years.
Right.
Replaced by a buzzer.
Put my heart and soul into this. Here's the other thing: is they say that only 2 players had the buzzer. Right?
That's what's come out. But what about the other guys? Why wouldn't you do it for everybody, right?
And then here's my other side, right? This all came to light because one pitcher, and I don't know his name, Matt Free or something, who went to another team, and he was mad because he got cut out of the World Series. You know, he got taken off the roster, so he didn't get a cut of the World Series winning, stuff like that. He was mad. So he's the whistleblower. He came out with all this information, right? What's the one thing that he didn't say occurred? He came out with all this information about a trash can, a camera moving. Its whole elaborate system came from this one guy. And that one guy didn't say that they use electronic wiring. And it's like, what? I think the wiring is just people trying to figure out additional stuff, to be honest with you. Because there's just no proof of it at this point other than just circumstantial jerseys or whatever. But, so even the guy that blew the whistle on it would know about a wire. But why would you do a wire for 2 guys and not the rest of the team?
How do you feel about Trevor Bauer coming out claiming that he's heard about the buzzer before?
Trevor Bauer's been after the Astros for years.
I've heard it from multiple parties too, for what it's worth.
Yeah, so we've all heard it. Show me proof.
Steve wants the proof. MLB doesn't want you to find the proof. Because it does not want to have to go after players, right? MLB wants us to go away. This buzzer part of it to go away, right?
But how can you have a sport on the up and up if you don't go after the players? The players are the ones cheating.
You're not getting into this, but they offered him immunity, and now this comes out. I think it comes back. That
Pete Rose to this day cannot go in the
Hall of
Fame because he cheated the game.
But
you're allowing known cheaters, and you're hiding it from everybody. You gave them immunity, and you're hiding it. You need to get this out. Who cheated? What teams are cheating? An aspect to this, and everything. You cannot hide behind this anymore. Baseball, to me, it was already a tainted sport. Like it's basically WWE in sports, where It's just made up. People have been trying to cheat in this sport for hundreds of years. Sandpaper in the back pocket. Oh, you're allowed to do that. You get kicked out of the game and suspended for a few games, but everybody just goes, oh well. You're allowed to do greenies, but you can't do Andrew like Mark McGuire did. Come on, guys. It's a freaking joke. All you baseball purists are just jokes. I'm gonna go off on my rant here about how you're all jokes. They electronically did it. They got caught. Get it out. What players said what? Who said what? Let the players face the music, and let's move on with our lives. Instead, we're going to hide it, and we're going to give the players immunity. So now we know everybody on that 2017 Houston Astro team is a cheater. And then furthermore, we can also equate that to everybody on the Boston Red Sox on their World Championship ring when Alex Cora is the manager were cheaters because Alex Cora took the system there. And we can even go as far as to say that Carlos Beltran on the Yankees last year was a cheater because he was part of that system there, which means you can't tell me that Carlos Beltran kept it quiet and didn't tell the other Yankees what they were doing and even implement a little bit of that. And what is being kept from us today in the public is all of those things. The Major League Baseball wants to look at the fans like me and say, it was just the Astros. It was just the Red Sox. Nobody else does anything wrong. Bull crap. Stop feeding me garbage. Release the materials. Tell us what the players said. Let the reporters ask them questions, and we can all move on. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care if they cheated. I don't care if they had buzzers. I want to know if they did or not. You stop it. I will have more credence for baseball. I will respect baseball more if they came out with, here's the information. Here's who cheated. Let's move on. We put an end to it. Let's move on with our lives. Instead, we're getting this game. And baseball's just basically cheating at this point. You mean to tell me, so they're like, but we sent a stern letter to every team in the league so they can stop this. You did that for the Astros too, and guess what? They kept doing it.
Everybody keeps pushing it, right?
Baseball
That's life, right?
Is cheats by nature. Baseball is a cheating sport. Again, sandpaper in the back pockets for a
little
pitcher.
Advantages here and there.
Spitballs. Greenies. Grabbing people's legs when they get to first base. That happened in a World Series by the Minnesota Twin guy out there. There is monumental evidence that baseball that people try to cheat. Don't keep this quiet. It makes you look worse is what I'm saying.
No, I pretty much agree with you, Steve. And I think that what you're going to see is I don't think you're going to get what you want, though. I think MLB is going to just let this go away. And as soon as pitchers and catchers report, they're going to be focusing, spinning the narrative, and doing the best that they can to move forward here.
Major League Baseball sent a memo out saying no team is allowed to discuss this. That's issue number one. You want them to discuss this in the first 2 weeks of spring training. Every player needs to be asked, have you ever done anything like this? Have you ever seen anything of this? Like Trevor Bauer is and stuff like that. Get it out there. We'll respect you more if it's all exposed, and then we can shut it down instead of hiding it. So, because now this year, okay, great. So are the Dodgers going to do some? They're going to change it. So now they know not to use electronic buzzers, right? Or use the camera angles or whatnot. So they're going to come up with something else to do it. And baseball thinks we're stupid, you know? It's just ridiculous. I hate it. That's why I hate baseball.
You'll love baseball again in 3 months, 2 months when it's time for MLB play.
I tolerate it because it's the only thing on, and you have to watch it if you like sports.
Yes, you do have to watch it.
But let's stop pretending that baseball's this up and up sport.
Baseball's pure, Steve.
No, it's not.
It's pure as the driven snow. I just like to irritate you.
I can give you example after example for 100 years of how baseball is not a pure sport. These purists that say baseball is the one pure sport, we got it. No! Guys have been cheating for 100 and something years. And it's okay. Just like this is okay. Everybody's losing their minds, right, Adam? Because how can they do this to baseball? This is so bad for baseball. Is it? Expose it. put an end to it. The way you expose it and put an end to it is you give it light. You don't hide it, right? And if some of these old fogies think that 2017 is tainted for the Astros, let them think it. It's no different than I don't think Barry Bonds is tainted because he was a Hall of Fame player before he started taking the steroids or whatever. And so he's a Hall of Fame player. Put him in. Pete Rose was a Hall of Fame player before he started gambling on the sport. As a manager, he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Why is baseball doing this to them?
Pete Rose doesn't go until he's dead, right?
Yeah, that's his punishment.
That's his punishment. He doesn't get to. He'll get in when he's dead. That's my feeling on it.
They don't want him to benefit.
After he passes.
They don't want him to benefit because he lied. But here's the thing. You've outed Pete Rose. You outed the Black Sox, right? And all those guys for that World Series gambling or throwing or whatever. You've always outed you. You out the guy that has sandpaper in his back pocket. You out Raleigh Fingers for having spitballs, right? You out Mark McGwire for steroids when he gets outed and you put an end to it. Out these guys. Out them and put an end to it. This story would be over. Except for it's being kept alive because of the secrecy and the darkness that's Major League Baseball's like, we're not talking about this anymore. That's not how you handle these situations. You get in front of it. And if there's other teams out there, and it's going to come out. It's going to come out at some point. If there's other teams out there doing something similar to this, you've ruined baseball for a lot of people because you allow it to continue to happen, and that's not right.
So, real quick before we wrap this up here.
No, I'm going to keep ranting.
Oh, you're going to keep? Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were going to. So, I have two more little MLB things for you.
Well, give it to us.
All right. Blackjack McDowell, former White Sox pitcher, says that Tony La Russa, one of the game's upper, right? He's one of the shining lights of Major League Baseball.
He is on a pedestal.
In the 80s, when White Sox won the division he says the White Sox stole signs. But everybody stole signs. But Blackjack, why you gotta do that? And
are you mad because he was a White Sox pitcher?
Yes, I'm mad that he even had to say anything. But as a White Sox fan, I will tell you something that makes me happy. Moving on with my little White Sox note here. White Sox just finished up their 3-day.
Hold on. Adam's White Sox Minute. Doom, doom, doom.
Okay, White Sox fans. White Sox just finished up their 3-day mini hitter camp here in Glendale. Ricky Renteria, White Sox manager. Our expectation is to win. If you simply look at us on paper, we are a much improved ball club. And then he says, my expectations haven't won. We have to fight for the postseason. We want to win the division. We want to be a wild card, whatever the case may be. I'm all in. Let's get this started. Forget the cheating. It's time for baseball. That's what I got for you. Ricky Renteria's got me all in. We're ready to go. There's no expectation. This playoff or bust on the south side.
So the Indians sold off this year, right? So
gone.
The Twins just picked up
Josh Donaldson.
Donaldson from the Braves, right?
Yep. Big deal for them.
And the Twins were a good team last year. They have a lot of offense, not very much pitching. And the Indians just sold off. The rest of that division, Royals are going to be bad.
Detroit's rebuilding, going to be bad.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I don't know about wild card, but they definitely should be in the playoff chase till the end, at least in the division.
Make it interesting. The White Sox always win in April. Let's see if we can win in September.
I can tell you, as a Diamondbacks, you're living here, and I'm not the hugest Diamondbacks fan. I root for them being the local team. But even on the years they missed the playoffs, but they're in it like a week or two to go, they're still exciting, right?
Because at least you're interested.
Attention. They're not out of it in July.
Because when they're out of it in July and June, you're just like, whatever. I don't even care anymore.
Right?
Wake me when September's over.
Whatever. So anyway, Major League Baseball.
Moving
along. We know you cheat. Pull your head out of your asses. Show us you cheat so we can all move on with our lives and people will stop talking about it because it's annoying. It's annoying as all heck. But Adam, here we are. We have 3 games left. If I can click on this properly.
There's
NFL update.
There's 4 teams left. We'll get down to 2. The final 2 this weekend on Sunday.
I like our
mark your calendar. Yes.
Trying to be cool.
Trying to be cool. I'm already cool.
Oh,
I'll tell you all about it.
Here we go, folks. So, some extra news. Well, last weekend was the divisional round recap. We all know what happened at this point. But Adam, some big news last weekend. Like, what is going on? What is wrong with dysfunctional playoffs this year, right?
Man, I remember walking in and saying, man, I know nothing about the NFL at some point in time during these games.
Last 2 weeks, I've gone 1-3 in my picks. And I went with the favorites for a lot of them. I stuck my neck out. So, one thing I will say is obviously the Titans beat the Ravens 28-12.
Shocker.
That was kind of a shocker, right?
But, man, Derrick Henry, what a beast. 195 yards on 30 carries. And also passed for a touchdown.
What a pass, too, right?
Yeah,
I
mean, just
that little throw thing.
Yeah, the Titans beat the Ravens 28-12 last Saturday night in the divisional round of the AFC. Second straight huge performance for Henry, though. I mean, that 6-seed Titan team, 11-7 in the regular season, one win away from the Super Bowl.
Winning if it wasn't for Derrick Henry and that defense, no doubt.
Well, the defense has been great. So
here's my question on this game is, after the game, everybody's saying how Lamar Jackson can't win in the NFL.
It's only been 2 years.
Right?
It's only his second year in.
What major overreaction are we having here, Ravens fans and media? It's his second year. Give the kid an opportunity. But here's my other thing. They took week 17 off because they had everything wrapped up, right? They benched a lot of players. Then they had the bye. Titans have been playing for the playoffs for 4 weeks now. That bye, you gotta play in week 17. You have to, especially if you have that bye, right?
Yeah, you definitely have to, and I think that they learn from that. So, I mean, going basically off that the Jackson's a playoff, can't win the playoff game, so that just tells me what, Tannehill's a playoff god at this point then?
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'll tell you what, my biggest surprise of that game was that first pass by Tannehill. I was shocked. I was like, what was that? I mean,
everybody was shocked.
That was just unbelievable. And then they got down to the, like I said, Henry's just unbelievable. 377 yards in 2 playoff games.
The interesting thing about this game was this the first time that you saw somebody get into Lamar Jackson's head. The Titans were hitting him. They were stuffing him. And that first quarter, he got up and he was like ready to fight some guys. And you never see that with him at all. So that's what was interesting on that side, on the Titans there. But huge upset. I mean, the Ravens should have won that game talent-wise. But, man, the Titans are hot right now. Of course, the big thing that I took a flyer on was, the interesting thing about this is the Titans were the team that I thought the Vikings were going to be last weekend. Meaning the Titans showed up and played the Ravens like I thought the Vikings were going to show the Niners, and boy, was I wrong. The Vikings, the down Vikings are the ones that showed up.
My Minnesota Vikings showed up that I see every year.
Right.
So
it was so disappointing watching that game. So the question is, right, is that 49ers defense looks so good out there. But is it because they're going against the Vikings, or are they so good?
I think they're so good. I really do. I mean, geez, you just sit there and they just kept coming. Nick Bosa, what a beast. He seemed to be involved in every play that he was on the field for. Didn't he? I mean, every time I turned around, watched, he was involved.
What were you turning around from? From the couch?
Well, I mean, I might have been in the kitchen, turn around, look at, But, he had 6. He had 2 of the 6 sacks. The 49ers were all up in Cousins' face all afternoon. Pressures, Armstead was great. D Ford. I mean, but man, Bosa was just a beast.
Yeah, Bosa's really impressive as this on there. But I mean, the Vikings could do nothing on offense. Their defense.
Dalvin Cook was non-existent.
Yeah, their defense that I thought was going to show up. The defense that played the Saints, I thought was going to show up against the Niners, and they didn't. They didn't at all.
Vikings had 21 total rushing yards in the game on 10 carries.
That's just ridiculous.
So Jimmy Garoppolo did enough to get the win, and I think
really have to do much.
I think that's what you're going to see. Garoppolo. I'm a fan of Jimmy Garoppolo, so I'm not one of these guys that doesn't believe him. I like Garoppolo.
It was his first playoff win.
And
the way they talk about him, you think he's won a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but I think you're going to have some respect for him after this coming game here. First playoff victory at Levi Stadium for the 49ers. It gives you kind of a warm feeling for the 49ers.
No.
I know you can't have a warm feeling
not
for
at
the
all.
49ers, but I have warm feelings for the 49ers.
Yeah. Well, it makes one of us. Then the interesting game Sunday morning was Chiefs against the Texans, I guess we can still call them. Do we still call them the Texans or the Chokers or whatever?
I remember walking out. I watched the first quarter in the bedroom, and I walk out like, what is going on? It's 24-0.
I was doing something, and it was like I saw 14-0. I was like, man, Chiefs started hot. And I was like, oh, crap, never mind. 14-0, holy cow. So Chiefs were down by 24 in the first quarter. They came back to lead at halftime. For all you gamblers out there, the over, which was 51 when the game started, was hit at halftime. So congratulations to the people that voted over. They were probably celebrating the second half, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, basically the Chiefs, everything that could go wrong for the Chiefs went wrong in that first, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, and they were just down. But they're so explosive on offense. The Chiefs on offense are what the Ravens, everybody thinks the Ravens are, but they're not. The Chiefs can pass the ball. They can run the ball. They can score instantly. And they did. They absolutely did. So Chiefs come back and beat Houston. Houston's defense was god-awful, just got exposed. Bill O'Brien is taking a lot of heat in Houston. Is it justified?
Yeah, man, it's hard to say.
Yes, Adam. The answer is yes. He sucks.
Man. I mean, jeez, but that Kansas City team is just so good.
It's not just that game though. So you're up 21-0, right? And you have fourth down, and you go for it in your zone to get the Chiefs, so the Chiefs can go down, score, and get momentum.
There's momentum, but there's 7 straight possessions with a touchdown after that.
After the game, Bill O'Brien says, we knew we'd have to score at least 50 to beat these guys. The Chiefs scored 51, Bill O'Brien. Even if you would have scored 50, you were going to lose. Coaches that make comments like that are out of their element. They're not doing well, and it's god-awful. And that's the problem with Bill O'Brien, is those stupid comments. But he's got pictures of the owners. The daddy died, right? So now the kids are taking it over. He's got pictures of somebody because I don't know how this guy. They're wasting their offensive production right now in the league with Bill O'Brien. They need to get somebody on there. Plus, he's a giant. Excuse my language here, everybody. I'll clean it up. A-hole. I'll catch it. I caught myself. He's a giant a-hole. You see him yelling at fans and everything in the crowd, like during the game and as he's walking to the thing. He's literally yelling at little kids that tell him he sucks.
He's a little frustrated.
Like, I don't care.
He's not playing the snaps. He's not on the field.
You cannot do that as an NFL head coach. You got to have a temperament. Who cares what the 12-year-old kid in the stands is saying about your team? Oh, by the way, that you had a 24-0 lead against the Chiefs in the first quarter and you blew it by the end of the second quarter. That 12-year-old kid's right, Bill O'Brien. You suck. You suck bad. What are you doing taking out your frustrations on a 12-year-old kid on the sideline when you just lost the lead, when you had a 24-0 lead? Maybe the kid's right. Ever think of that, Bill O'Brien? I can't stand Bill O'Brien. I've always hated him.
Right. There's more hatred than just this game coming on.
It's just awful. Houston Texans should be this dominating team in the league, right? Their offense is phenomenal. They have great offensive players. Their defense is a little suspect. They should have been able to keep up with the Chiefs. And after the Chiefs came back, once the Chiefs started coming back, it was like the Texans had no idea what to do with their lives. That game turned so quick. We could have all turned that game off halfway through the second quarter because we knew where it was going because the Titans were that scared and bad. But anyway, Bill O'Brien's going to be back for another year because
he's got a job.
Somebody or something. And that's the funny thing. So then Monday after that game, everybody in Houston and all over Twitter is just freaking out about Bill O'Brien, how he needs to go, blah, blah, blah. So who would have thought that Monday morning waking up that A.J. Hinch and the GM of the Astros were the coaches that would be fired? and not Bill O'Brien, which cracks me up. So, last game last weekend was Packers-Seahawks. Seahawks are basically a walking mash unit. I figured they could keep it close. I was hoping they could pull it out at the end there. Seahawks dominated that second half, right, Adam? But here's my question on this game is the Seahawks came out after halftime and dominated the game. They let Russell Wilson play his game and do what he needs to do. Why don't they do that in the first half? Why do they bottle him up in the first half and then go win this thing in the second half?
Yeah, it's weird with how they do that. I mean, Pete Carroll does make these halftime adjustments, but you would think that he would have it set up that way in the beginning, though. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Right.
And Aaron Rodgers does just enough to, he does just enough.
Did he do just enough, though?
It's hard to argue against him, right? I mean, they got the W, right?
He does. Aaron Rodgers does. Yeah, but that was because they couldn't stop that running back, man. He was all over the field. I think here's the thing that I'm getting out of it, and I'm realizing is that we're seeing the downside of Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career. Like he's still great. He's still better than good. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Don't get me wrong, but he can't do the things that he could do 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of get depressed by it for some reason.
I'm excited by it.
Yeah.
I the day he goes away is the day he retires is going to be a happy day.
Oh, he's going to do his conference. He's going to be like, Christ, so we can make fun of you. Is that what's going to happen?
No, I actually have respect for Aaron Rodgers as much as I dislike him.
So that was the last weekend. To be honest with you, gosh, 3 out of the 4 games were boring. And by the way, I'm including that Chiefs game as a boring one. I thought the Packers-Seahawks one was the best game of the weekend. Because once the Chiefs started scoring, you knew they were just going to dominate that game, which they did. So it's kind of a boring weekend in NFL football last weekend in terms of overall excitement for a weekend, right?
Yeah, it was. You had it had its moments. I'll give it. There was moments of games, but I think it was just more like, wow, Minnesota's bad. Holy crap! What a debacle! How do you be up 24-0 and lose?
Make fun of Minnesota again. Just golly, leave the Vikings alone now. Taking it on too much.
Taking it on. Well, hey, you want to fire coaches that make the playoffs, and I want to blow up teams that make.
Because that's the argument, right? Is he's won the division X amount of times last year. He made the playoffs the last 6 years. He's never made a conference game. Never made a conference game. They haven't even made it close to a conference game. They get blown out in the second round if they make it.
I'm sorry,
it's
people.
Bad. Right? So here's the deal. You look at trends and things like that. The Texans are what the Texans are under Bill O'Brien. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to lose in the first round or second round, right? And then that's going to be the end of it, right? That's what they do. So do you want to get better? Change your coach. Get a new attitude in there. Get a new whatever in there. And change it around. That's all I'm saying, Adam. That's all I'm saying. You are what you are at this point. Texans aren't going to be anything different or anything like that. You are what you are. So, Adam.
The Vikings are who we thought they were. You want to crown them? Crown their asses.
Which, here's the interesting thing, Adam. The Vikings are who they are, right?
Yes.
Up and down offense, right? Like one game, Kirk Cousins looks like a hero. Next game, he doesn't. Delvin Cook, if he's on, they're great, whatever. So then the Browns are the last team to have a head coaching position open. They interviewed Josh McDaniels, all these great minds, ex-head coaches. And the Browns go, and they hire Kevin Stefanski as their head coach. For those of you that don't know, because everybody's like, who? He was the Vikings offensive coordinator. Which, just take out the last game where they scored 10 points and didn't move the ball at all or anything like that. They've been up and down all year, right? On there. So the Browns had their choice of whoever they wanted to hire, and they chose this dude from here. Is that the biggest Browns thing ever right there?
It's typical, right? It's typical Browns. I mean, there There's better coaching candidates out there, right?
Here's my other side.
Maybe he won the interview.
Right? Here's my other side. This dude's been in the Vikings organization since he was 24 years old. 2006. You tell me what he's going to bring to the Browns. Only thing he knows is the Vikings and the Vikings system over the years, right? He's worked his way up through there, so he's got in there. But he only knows that system. He only knows that. Is that the team that the Browns want to model themselves after? Is the Vikings?
I wouldn't think so. Not that wouldn't be my choice.
What's this guy gonna go? He's gonna go in here and go like, in New England, Bill Parcells. No, because he doesn't know other than outside stuff, right? Is he gonna go in and say, I want to be like Pete Carroll over? He doesn't know how Pete Carroll operates other than being outside the circle. He's gonna go and they go, well, the Vikings, we did this. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Is that who you want to model yourself after, Browns? Apparently.
Guess so.
So in other Browns news, Adam.
We got more Browns news?
Well, sort of.
Okay.
LSU wins the national championship. Good for you. OBJ goes to where for school? LSU.
LSU.
Thinks he's a stud muffin. After the game, LSU's out there celebrating, and OBJ just can't help himself. He's visibly shoving money into players' hands. Which, by the way, is an NCAA violation because he is a booster.
Everybody that took money, they had their hand on the money, declared.
LSU comes out right away and is like, oh, it was all fake money. So they investigate it, and they have to come back the next day and go, it was not fake money. So they have to report themselves, after the game. They win a championship while they're literally reporting themselves. And then OBJ's in the locker room celebrating because he apparently did something cool for this game, so we have to make it about OBJ. He slaps out this idiot cop, which we're not going to talk about because I just can't stand this subject. But an idiot security guard or cop, I've seen both, is in the locker room telling the players to quit smoking their cigars and checking for alcohol. And OBJ slaps this cop or security guard on the butt after the game. So now he's got an arrest warrant out for him, which is going to go to nothing. He's just going to, have to do some community service or something on that. But the bigger issue is new head coach, right? You're in Cleveland. You think you're this stud receiver where everybody likes you and how everybody wants you on your team because you're cool. And then you go and you do this stuff. Huge distractions, right? Not only do you take away from LSU, which is horrible in itself, just putting spotlight on yourself again with just stupid stuff. Is OBJ the new Antonio Brown, Adam, is my question for you.
I don't really think so. I don't think I think Antonio Brown is just in his own little he's way above everybody else in his own media.
Right now,
you know
what Antonio Brown never did? He never married a kicking net.
That's true. But these guys.
What's worse?
I think he's having fun. I don't think it's. I have a hard time
Okay.
I have a hard time
You know who else was in the LSU locker room?
Oh man, I do, and I'm drawing a blank.
Well, there were several people, but I'm going to say Zeke Elliott.
Zeke Elliott. But what did he?
But what did Zeke Elliott? Only reason Zeke was in the locker room was because there was a couple blurbs, right? He stayed out of the spotlight. He celebrated with the team. He stayed out of the spotlight. He didn't make it about himself. Who made it about himself?
He showed it.
He's not having fun. OBJ went, I'm going to get in the spotlight tonight when LSU wins this, and I'm going to be the guy they talk about.
I don't think he wanted the arrest warrant though. I don't think that was part of the plan.
Well, no, but like I said, nothing's going to happen on that. It's more of the distraction side.
We settled out of court though for some money.
Yeah, he's going to have to deal with that stuff. But I don't even want to get into that because I'm just.
Your blood pressure's going back up. I can feel it.
Oh, I have nothing good to say about. Let the kids. I get it. You're not allowed to smoke in the Superdome. I totally get it. But stop. Just stop. Stop being douches. Stop it. Anyway.
Let them have fun.
So, right? They're kids. Let them have. I get it. I get both sides of it. But at the same time, you can look the other way, right?
No, I agree. I mean, in reality, they did look at the other way, right? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like,
but he was in there. You see the video?
Yeah.
Dude, he was like, "What's in that bottle? What's in that bottle?" Dude, if I was on the LSU team, I would have been getting arrested that night. I'll tell you that right now.
There wouldn't have been a warrant. You just would have been arrested.
That guy would have been having words, you know. I'd be celebrating my national championship by sitting in jail for the night.
There you go.
Me and that guy would not be getting along. Me and that guy would not be seeing eye to eye at that point. So, but yeah, it's just OBJ needs to knock it off. But let's get Adam. Only 2 games this weekend, both on Sunday. Who's gonna go to the Super Bowl?
Matt.
In Miami. Some storylines. Ryan Tannehill, if the Titans win this game against the Chiefs, will play in the Super Bowl where?
In Miami.
Miami, where they told him he wasn't good enough to run the Miami offense and shipped him out of town. That's an interesting little fact right there. We got Chiefs Titans. I don't know which game's first.
Chiefs Titans is first on CBS.
Dude,
on CBS.
Kansas City.
Cold.
Yeah,
Kansas City.
So here's some questions. Can the Titans keep the ball away from the Chiefs offense enough to stay in this game? Can the Titans score enough to beat the explosive Chiefs, who can show that they can?
Well, they can score 3 touchdowns in 3 minutes. I mean,
the Chiefs had to announce on their scoreboard last week that they ran out of fireworks because they scored so many points so fast.
Doesn't this game just come down to Derrick Henry?
Can the Chiefs shut down Titans' running game and put the game into Tannehill's hands? That's kind of the question, right?
I think the only chance the Titans have is they have to come out. They have to have time of possession on their side, like by a huge margin. Henry has to just pound the ball. You can't fall behind because you cannot put this game in Tannehill's hands, right?
Yeah, I think if the Titans go down by 10, it's over at any point.
Yeah, I have to agree.
They have to keep it out of the Chiefs' hands, and you can't do that. You still have to give the Chiefs the ball.
Right, you have to keep the Chiefs the ball, but I think that if you can, time of possession is huge in this one. And you, like I said, Tannehill cannot be the reason why you win this game.
The reason why, only way I can see the Titans winning this, which is a horrible thing to say because now they're going to win it, right? Is, like you said, is if they just pound the ball for 12 minutes and score a touchdown, kick off, and then just somehow shut down the Chiefs, and then just keep doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and they're definitely in an uphill battle at this point. And there's no lead. And after we saw what the Chiefs did this past weekend, there's no safe lead for the Titans, right? Titans are up by 10. It's like, whatever, they're up by 10. No big deal.
Titans go up by 30 to start the game. We're all going to be watching because we're going to think the Chiefs
are coming back, right?
So, no, it's amazing to see. But, yeah, I mean, I think the Titans' magic ends this weekend. I'll go ahead and be the first to say it. Chiefs are winning this game and going to the Super Bowl.
As much as I'd love to see the Titans do this, I can't see it. The Chiefs just blow my mind, so I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs on this one too.
The Chiefs shut down. Here's the thing. The Chiefs' defensive line can shut down Derrick Henry, right? That means Tannehill's got to win this thing.
And there's no way Tannehill wins this game. No chance.
They don't
no
have any
way.
Receivers.
They got
nothing other than Tannehill can complete the passes and stuff, but they're not going deep. They're not doing anything spectacular to win this game. I wouldn't say it's Tannehill's not winning it. It's just their offense isn't set up to win it. So that defense has to shut the Chiefs down. I just don't see anybody shutting these Chiefs down right now. So till maybe the Super Bowl at that point. So we both have the Chiefs, right, Adam?
Yes, we were both going the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
And then we go on to the NFC matchup Sunday evening.
Oh, this game.
Packers, 49ers, Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara.
So here's a couple things for you, Adam. Can the Packers go into San Francisco and beat the 49ers defense? Can the Packers defense stop the Niners offense from possessing the ball and driving the ball with the clock time? Can the Packers defense stop the big plays by the 49ers offense? Can Aaron Rodgers create some magic with his rollouts, getting out of sacks, things like that, to break the heart of the Niners defense? Is this game too big for Jimmy G because it's his first time here as a starter, and he only got his first playoff win last week? How do you see this thing rolling out, Adam?
I see this thing with, man, that if that San Francisco 49er defense that played last weekend shows up, Green Bay is in trouble again. Week 13, the Packers, they came to Levi Stadium. They lost 38-7. Not even close. That was coming off San Francisco losing to the Seahawks in that Monday night matchup. And I just think that I like the 49ers defense so much. And I'm behind Jimmy Garoppolo. Just because it's his, first NFC championship game. I mean, he's only been a starter. This is his third year as a starter, right? And he was injured the first year.
And part of last year.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is his first opportunity, right? I mean, and Garoppolo has the experience, he came behind Tom Brady. So, a lot will depend. I mean, George Kittle's been hurt, hasn't practiced much.
He hasn't practiced much in the last month, but he still goes out.
But he goes out and plays. I think this is the first time that you will see the 49ers returning to the Super Bowl. I'm going to go out my prediction now. Since 2013, 49ers Chiefs in your Super Bowl matchup.
I'll even go a step farther, Adam, because you said a lot of what I would say on that. Except I don't think it matters what Jimmy Garoppolo is going to do because the Packers offense is going to get shut down this weekend. We're going to have two boring games this weekend, folks.
Think so?
I'm looking forward to watching them both, but they're not going to be close. It's not going to be. I'm going to enjoy it because I enjoy a defensive game and I like seeing the strategies and whatnot involved, even if a game's lopsided. But I think we got two lopsided games this weekend. I do not see how the Packers can go unless Aaron Rodgers and Adams can put some magic together in offense where they surprise that defense. Because forget about the defensive line, right, with Bosa and that whole defensive line that can get to the quarterback. Then you got cornerbacks that can cover guys left and right?
Doesn't Sherman shut down Adams, though? Yeah. Don't you give Sherman he's going to be on him all day, right?
That's the whole thing is. So you get past the defensive line and say, okay, the Packers figure out the defensive line, but then how do you figure out the cornerback? You generally cannot. You can beat one part of the defense, but you can't beat the other part of the defense. And I think that's what the Packers are going to struggle with. I agree. We are going to have a Chiefs-Niners Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Which game's closer? What game do you think is closer?
49ers.
Packers 49ers. So you don't think the Titans have a shot at hanging in this at all?
I don't. I think they go down early, and it's just a snowball after that.
I want to see the Titans win a coin toss and go down and just score to begin with.
I think Mike Vrabel is the best coach that's still left in the playoffs. He's done more with less, and he's going to put together the better game plan. It's just that Chiefs offense. Let's put it this way. Let's say the Titans defense shows up and shuts down that Chiefs offense. What's the minimum you think the Chiefs will score in this game? If they're shut down, like the Titans play balls out.
35 still?
Yeah. Titans aren't scoring 35.
Yeah.
I was going to say 30. The Chiefs will still score 27, 30 in that range, even on an off offensive day. Titans aren't matching that. There's no way the Titans are matching that.
No, I have to agree with you.
If the Titans can hold the Chiefs to 10 or 14, they got a shot. I don't see how that's happening.
Would you like to see the Titans do it, though? I would like to see the Titans do it.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to see Green Bay do it. I like the 49ers.
To be honest with you, I think the winner of the Super Bowl is coming out of the AFC this year. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I would rather see the Titans than the Chiefs, but I'd be happy with either one of them.
Yeah, it's that Fox doesn't want to see the Titans in it, though.
Oh, no.
The Fox wants to see Fox wants to see Chiefs Green Bay, I think, more than anything. TV executives.
The old whatever first Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah,
like
and that they got storylines there celebrating the NFL 100. I mean, there's some stuff to go ahead and.
The Niners first or last to first this year. What other storylines do you have with the Niners? That's the issue, right? Is they went from first to last.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Shanahan's a darling for everybody, right?
Yep.
So, but I mean, you have to go back to those 80s and 90s teams with the 49ers to have a good storyline out of that.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have a great storyline. Andy Reid finally makes the Super Bowl again after the Eagles. He gets there. It's his best chance to get there. Titans have a great storyline where they were left for dead, and then they make the quarterback switch. Which the moral of that story is play your best players, NFL teams. Don't worry if the guy's making $50 million. If he sucks, play the guy behind him is better. Play the guy behind him. That's the moral of the story, NFL. I hate how they do that stuff. And then there's really no storyline with the Packers other than it's the Packers are back in this. Packers and Niners have no storyline.
Right. No, they'll have
first year head coach. That's boring stuff.
We'll see what Fox turns up for us.
Let's see how the NFL rigs this weekend. Is that what you're trying to say, Adam?
I'm not saying that. I won't. I'm not going to get you set up on that. Go off on that tangent. We're trying to wrap things up, move along here, and if I go down that route, we're going to be here for another 45 minutes.
Well, that's coming out after this weekend. So get used to it. Well, our second main event of 2020 is done.
In the books.
Did you survive?
We survived.
So, obviously, thanks for all the people that tune in on the Facebook Live. This will be posting here in a bit on Facebook, and then we'll get the audio version out here in a few. So that will be posted as well. You can listen to the ways you always listened in the past. Thanks for everybody tuning in. We will obviously get anything tweaked that needs to be. Definitely let us know at the Main Event Pod on Twitter as well as on Facebook. Definitely follow us and interact with us so we can get you on the show and whatnot. So, Adam, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at AdamMichaels05 on Twitter.
And you can reach me, of course, at SMAC500, SMAC 500. Again, announcement at the beginning of the show, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Arizona time. We will be broadcasting now and recording every week at that time. If it ever changes, we will, of course, announce it. So definitely follow us. Main Event Pod on Facebook. Definitely get in touch there. And we will see everybody next week.